What advice would you give your younger self if you could go back in time? Well, my answer to that question is absolutely nothing. I wouldn't tell myself a goddamn thing. And I'll tell you why. For me, going back in time and warning myself about all the mistakes that I would make in the future, it's actually an admission that you don't like yourself. See, I've kind of grown to like myself with time, despite my many flaws, my many imperfections. I kind of like how things have turned out. Could be a hell of a lot worse. Maybe I've watched Back to the Future too many times, I don't know, but if you go back in time and start warning yourself not to make certain mistakes, not to do certain things, you're going to change the course of history. You're going to change the course of your history. And the result of that is that your experiences are going to change. You won't have made all the mistakes that you'll have made, and that means that you won't have learnt some very important lessons over time as well. And that means that the person you become today is a very different person to the person you would have been. So going back in time and changing the course of your history basically means that the person you are today is deleted. Your entire life from that moment is deleted, and you then turn into somebody completely different. Now, I don't know about you, but that makes me feel very uncomfortable. I don't like the idea of being deleted and some other Will Taylor taking my place. One of my biggest regrets professionally was around about 2004, 2005. I took a detour in my career. I was studying NEBOSH qualifications. I was very intent on becoming a health and safety professional. And I kind of got sucked into this other job, which was very exciting. It was a sales role. Sales and lots of training and recruitment. I was part of a startup. I got very excited in that, and I quit my NEBOSH course, and I abandoned the idea of becoming a health and safety professional. And later, when I got back into it, I realized I'd kind of wasted 4 or 5 years of development. I realized that if I'd have carried on with it, I would have been 4 or 5 years further forward, which would have been wonderful. But here's the kicker. It's like that big mistake that I made. It was at that workplace that I met my future wife. It was there that I fell in love, and she fell in love with me. And here we are, I should know this, shouldn't I? 13, 14 years later, certainly since 2005, so it's 16 years we've been together since our first date. We have 3 wonderful children and a reasonably happy life. If I had not made that mistake, I would never have met her. And my children wouldn't exist. They'd be dead for all intents and purposes. Can you be dead if you've never existed? Yeah, I kind of think it's the same, roughly. Now, maybe I would have met somebody else. So that's a Tim Minchin song, isn't it? If I hadn't have met you, I would have met somebody else. Yeah, but I'm quite glad I met her. And I'm quite glad that I've got the kids that I've got. So my advice is, don't regret things. Don't regret things. You made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. We've all failed. We've all learnt lessons. Own it. Own it. Be grateful for the lesson you made from the mistake. Don't wish you could go back and change things, because if you did go back and change things, you wouldn't have learnt the lessons and you wouldn't be the person that you are today. So there we are. That's not a health and safety thought, but it's a deep philosophical thought that's been on my mind. I hope you find that useful.